It's been a long time since the developers have actually put any post on the FAQs. And so here we are, Shadow Fighters, in the room of me just reading through the FAQs that have been provided recently, yesterday, I believe, because it's 6th of February. Wait, let me check. I might be wrong right here. Yeah, 6th of February, so it was released yesterday. So the developers have not for a long time been giving us any kind of special news or kind of some sort of special news, I would say then, that would actually wake a lot of attention from us, or just a pretty adequate kind of news. So here we are with certain points that might be explaining a little bit of the future of Shadow Fight 3 2021. There are some little relevance to Shadow Fight Arena, but it's not on that high grade to where I would really divide into Shadow Fight 3 and Shadow Fight Arena, or just say Shadow Fight games. So therefore, most of these questions are just the Shadow Fight 3 based, and pointed towards the Shadow Fight 3 2021. So without anything further to say, I'm gonna go ahead and read all those questions and lead the thoughts of meanings and my own personal opinion about the questions and answers that was just provided for this. So we have 10 questions right here, and in which all of them have their own kinds of answers and questions, of course. Start with number one. Are there many plans to add clans and raids? If so, when can we expect them to be added approximately? Sure, but it's hard to say when. We want to implement the clans this year, but it's too early to talk about raids. So the developers have actually been thinking about adding clans. So that also means that the developers are focusing on adding more social features into the game, which can be also a big plus. Now, we already have clans in Shadow Fight 2 with raids onto it, but the same question remains if it's going to be similar added to Shadow Fight 3. So that question right here just sums it up that yes, the developers are actually going to be adding the social features. Actually, we don't really have social features other than, I guess, checking accounts on the top 100 leaderboard. If there's anything I would say that is social, because rest of the things are event related, just single player related. The storyline, the events, and the duels, those are just single player related, while the social feature lies just it's quite limited into looking at top 100 and looking at other profiles. So, it's going to be interesting to how clans will work in Shadow Fight 3. That could lead to a question to whether or not clans going to be working similarly to Shadow Fight 2. Maybe their ranks going to have a different name, but we know that there's a great chance that there's going to be ranks. It certainly is going to be in clans, but what kind of features does clans open up for further development of whatever feature that might be? Like, what kind of features will the clans open up for? That is the one remaining question that I have that's going to be left in a cliffhanger for now. Moving on to question number 2. Will new weapon be added? Halberd, Ninjato. We will definitely add new weapons throughout the year. Ninjato is already in progress, but we don't consider Halberd as a style in Shadow Fight 3. Now, there are some people who actually have been looking at Neki. Even I have been looking at Neki for quite a while right now. Ever since we were waiting and craving for Shadow Fight 3's release, when everyone was just waiting for the development of Shadow Fight 3, maybe I passed the time of watching the beta video that they added, or like a small clip of a Shadow Fight 3 battle, Hawk against the Legionary Spear. That at that time, some time after that, they've been adding pictures of concept for new weapons, and among those were the Ninjato and the Halberd. But there was also other things like the Trishaki, which they actually added and called Sanjikun in the in-game name. We also had big knives and two-handed axes and halberds. Halberds was definitely shown. So as you can see, by looking at the answer of the question, they did not consider every single concept that they've added to be the final product into the game. So we don't know whether big knives is going to be added into the game, but now we know that halberd was just discarded. I might be wrong, they might change their mind, but it looks like it that the halberd has been discarded. Whilst for the other weapons and concepts like shown for example, I've even got one in my head right now, Tonfus. They also shown some concept for Tonfus, but whether or not they're going to be added, we don't know. We just have to wait and see after some time in 2021 what the developers are going to be planning from there, because throughout this question they're pointing out towards something that they're working, some features that you guys might also be guessing right on, what the features that they're going to be working with at first. So we know that some of these concepts that the developers have put out in pictures are going to be added, some are going to be discarded. In question number 3, when will it be possible to get legendary access in legendary Glaive? And by the way, Glaive is quite misleading in Shadow Fight 3. It's the most misleading thing in the game. I don't understand why they called it Glaive, because Glaive is a polearm weapon. But for the weapon that they're specifically mentioning, it's supposed to be called two-bladed sword or two-sided sword, whatever that might be. For those, they both put a more adequate description than Glaive, because Glaive is completely misleading in my opinion. It's a polearm weapon, and whenever you search Glaive, you're just gonna see a polearm, not the weapons that are added into Shadow Fight 3 or 2, because they also call it Glaive there in Shadow Fight 2 as well. But the answer is, for now they will remain exclusives of the year's event, but within a year the players will have a chance to get them at their disposal. They even say perhaps more than 2, more than 1. So that means that I only obtained the legendary two-bladed sword, but I didn't obtain anything else. But as it turns out, they are going to be available elsewhere, which concludes what I've talked about earlier 2 times throughout my channel's post of Shadow Fight content right now, that a Facebook user was asking the developers in the game whether or not they will have a second chance into getting the New Year's lottery's weapons and skin, and the developer said yes, there was going to be a chance, or more than one chance, to try to get it. So that was the answer, and now it's confirmed on the Telegram right here that I've just been reading, that yes, you will have more than one chance overall into getting this exclusive items. Now, you could say, well, why not make it that exclusive? Maybe I answer, maybe they wanted to add those items that they want to be exclusive into a set and the skin to its own event, but they intended the New Year's event to be some kind of taste of those new weapons for people who are willing to spend quite a lot of gems, like I did, but now I'm just gonna be saving the gems and likely not participate in the lottery, in some kind of lottery again, or whatever the developers might be thinking of that is relatively similar to that New Year's lottery. Because programming, you can rig things. You can basically rig things when you're programming to your own favor, to both player, or just like more favor for one party. That's how programming games work. You can set them up to whatever favor that might be suitable for whatever kind of reason that might be. So yeah, we get that out of the way. We already know they're gonna get more chances, and I'll be definitely trying to get the access and the skin as the days go by, as we get to that day where you can get the chance of getting it. Number 4, man, I've actually been taking quite a lot of time into thinking through after reading right here. Should we wait for the reworking of old events so that they become more diverse and opponents cease to be sponges for damage? We would like to rework old events. Some of them have lost their relevance, especially in comparison with the latter. These changes require a lot of work and time that could be spent on new events, modes, or transformation. So for now, this question remains open. For the old events that have been introduced, the bots have been rigged to actually take a lot of damage. We all know that. And that they do a lot of damage in return. And in favor to try to encourage us into doing more organized combos and well-made strategies alongside doing these kinds of events with these kinds of stats. But it also has a downside, because when they rig the bot to have an auto response, you are pretty much locked into waiting for them to do a move and then strike, and then try to get it a combo that causes the bot to hopefully not do an attack that will counter you, because Steel Sakura is actually one tough cookie to beat just because the instant reply logic, and also that he does it all the time. He does it all the time. If you like let one attack and try to continue with attack, chances are that you're actually going to get counterattacked, and you have to figure out the new strategy. And because of that, several people also revised it to just going spamming 4-dash throws into on the bot itself, and perhaps it happens in other events. Now there's one exception into this kind of thing, and that is the, what's it called, side effect event, because the bot is not blocking. The bot does not provide blocking. You can literally do combos, but he may land attacks. He may start to land attacks that will finish you up because you dealt a lot of damage to it. And that's the one exception. Other than that, the bosses are generally made to take a lot of damage and also do a lot of damage in return with instant reply logic, to where you either gotta be waiting for the right moment when they're moving, or that you actually have to use a specific set, or that you revise to a 4-dash throw strategy. So it goes on. So if they make this event, because it's still made for bots, like it's not players versus players, it's not PvP game Shadow Fight 3. If they rework it to a better relevance than the latter, that I don't completely understand what they might be, perhaps you guys in the comments can help me out with what they mean with the latter, then what was I saying again? I completely forget things. Even when I started saying things. Well, if they actually rework all the events, I remember it now. If they actually rework all the events, maybe it get interesting. It depends on how they do it, and then we'll notice what actually changed with the old events. So we're going to be seeing. Moving on to short question and short answer. Will we have more new events this year? Yes, it will definitely be. I mean, that is sure one thing that's going to happen at this point of time right here. We actually do understand now. It might be still relevant in a way to ask that question, whether or not new events of this year, because the developers are also working on adding new features into the game. You could say that new events is a new feature, but they have other new features that they want to be adding into the game. So that might still be relevant for the question. So we're moving on to the part 2 of this Telegram post. Number 6. For those who have gained experience and good skins, quests and duels are not interesting, both in terms of battles and prices. What do you think about this? We have ideas for solving this issue, and this year we really want to introduce them into the game. Ever since the developers have added E2Explain, they haven't changed the prices of the rewards to fit the current level you are in, but they only made the shop more expensive based on your levels, but they did not increase your rewards based on your level. And that goes for the duels, and that pretty much goes for the storyline. It is just not that fitting. And same goes for the events. The trade ratio between tokens and coins is still the same before they added E2Explain. So they actually didn't change anything about it. The only thing they kept in the same algorithm was the shop. That shop was getting more expensive for the higher levels, but we do not get a fitting amount of revenue, we should say, in the Shadow Fight 3 game to actually have a proper chance to getting the items that we would like to have in the shop or something else. So thinking about the reworking in the economy and also the battles and rewards, well, this is mainly an economical question. I would say that yes, you should be doing that based on what I said right now, because clearly it feels almost pointless to play duels because you still get 4,800. It's not like you get 5,000-6,000. Of course, there might be some people who use the nasty incessant combos to try to harvest some coins for that all matter, and also do a lot of shadow abilities while having the power in a fitting level to where they can actually get as much coins as possible from those duels. That's why they get a lot from what they do right there. But still, I don't necessarily do that. I do try to use whatever kind of factors that gives me coins and gems. No, that gives me extra coins to my own advantage. But it doesn't happen in such a great power anyways, because you're not gonna always get perfect rounds, and you're not gonna always have the adequate power to actually get the most coins possible. You just gotta think about, okay, this is how much I'm gonna be getting, and that's it. But duels are feeling more pointless because it doesn't add, it doesn't have rewards that is fitting for us to actually be spending on the shop. So more coins are getting used than what we get. Well, it's relatively been that way whenever we advance through the levels. It's relatively been that way. But this is like stretching it way, way far than what it needed to be, in my opinion. And so after that long discussion, I would say that we actually should be reworking the economy a little bit to a more to give the game a little more fitting pace for players who do not spend a penny but yet collected almost everything in the game, and several others. So number 7, when will the new set bonuses be added? The last added ones were during summer. At the moment, we have suspended the process of adding new bonuses to the sets, but we will definitely return to them when we are finished with other equally important features that we will definitely tell you about a little later. New set bonuses, yes, that's right, because we only got the Shadow Artisan, the Liver Legend, and the Arrow, aka the Spurt set, and that was the only 3 new sets that's being added. I could have thought that the developers were actually adding the new sets during summer. I mean winter, but I was wrong, because they weren't adding a special set for the Battle Kada. They weren't adding that, so now what? Now what? When will the new sets be added? But fortunately, they are thinking about adding new sets, but they just postponed it. So whatever set bonus there might be, well, we're just gonna have to wait and see when the day comes when the new set's gonna be slide by. You just have to wait and see. And it's definitely not going to be always from the Shadow Pass of Shadow Fight 3. It's not going to be the bonuses, not all of it, at least. So number 8, will there be events related to Shadow Fight Arena? Our team is discussing possible solutions and ideas regarding this issue, but we have not yet decided any conclusions about how it might look and whether something similar is being implemented. And that's the only question that has relevance to Shadow Fight Arena. And they have no idea of what kind of event that should be making it possible to relate to Shadow Fight Arena or connect the two current living Shadow Fight games. You might be thinking, oh, you Boss the Monitor, you mean Shadow Fight 2 is kind of a used toy? Well, for me, it kind of is, because we're going over from silhouette kind of style to a 3D kind of style games in the Shadow Fight franchise, but they tried to keep the Shadow Fight 3 alive, where they actually went to 3D and actually tried to show some colors rather than silhouettes. Just keep that in mind. But thinking about the events related to Shadow Fight Arena, well, we don't know. Maybe you guys have some ideas about what kind of events might be something relatable to Shadow Fight Arena, because Shadow Fight Arena, the lore of it is just every single hero being into a shadow tournament from different circumstances. That's the main plot in simple words. So moving on to the second last question, number 9, when will the optimization finally be delivered? We're constantly working on the optimization. Each patch introduces different edits. Globally, this task requires a huge amount of resources, and we balance it with other stages of development, such as new features, bug fixes, etc. We really want to complete all optimization issues as soon as possible, but we are not yet ready to name any deadlines. I mean, optimization is one important thing in terms of trying to include as many devices as possible. But one thing I would say about optimization is that there will be developed new devices, and the devices that we currently have, if there's anyone who have owned an oldish kind of device, they will get outdated into the demands of the new decade's kind of, well, you could say in terms of the new decade's kind of demands. And therefore, you have to think about how far would you go into supporting the lower end devices, because those lower end devices will eventually get outdated, and then the contemporary devices, I would say, the contemporary Infinity devices will then go over to lower end devices, because newer and more advanced models are going to be made, unless humans have actually figured out a way to a breaking point, or just a point of which it's hard to break, of how well performing the mobile devices can go. So for that, you just have to be aware of this. This is why I'm addressing this to you, because of this kind of question right here. But since the developers are thinking about having as many players, that's a good thing. But we're getting back to my point again. Those lower end devices will get old and outdated eventually, and people have to buy new stuff, new device, to try to keep the progress. And that's why we still have progress into the game. Thank goodness that we have progress into the game, or else it would have been not an easy time, especially for people who just want to keep their milestone and keep the progress that as it is, because they're proud of the efforts they put into the game, because they saw it as a value, and I respect whatever they put there into value in that kind of manner. So that's definitely a big plus. But also, still, I don't know how, it's been 4 times I said it, still have what I said right there in mind. And to the final question, what are your general plans for the game in 2021? Our team has a lot of plans. Last year, we prepared the foundation to tackle the features that players have long wanted to provide. 2 big directions are new story adventures and activities for social interaction between the players. The new story, the Marcus Plane, and what will come after, and clans are already in development. So for the specific answer that the developers have been putting out right here, it looks like they're prioritizing Marcus Plane and clans at first. There might be optimization updates sliding by first, but this suggests to me that the clans and Marcus Plane are going to be out there first. That's what I think it is. And if there's any other plans, it's already been covered in the first 9 questions, kinda what the developers are planning, because they said they're going to be adding Ninjato, and that Halberd is cancelled. We have yet to know if there's going to be other new weapons, but we know there's been new events, and even kind of renewed one with the Lunar Year. They actually renewed the Lunar Festival event into something else. I forgot the name of it, but I already checked it out in my mobile account. But I have been logged into my Shuttle Fight tree, because I've been playing a lot of Shuttle Fight Arena in mobile. But I will make a Shuttle Fight tree video regarding that and check out what it is. And if I look through the questions right here, was it anything else that was supposed to be added? No, because those 2 features were the main priority, or are supposed to be the main priority, whilst adding new weapons and events are also something in their top list of priorities as well. And that's going to be wrapping up for today's questions FAQ review by Boston Modern. If you guys did enjoy this super monologue with responses and reading out questions and answers, be sure to hit that like button to show support. And if you're new and enjoy my overall content, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll become a part of the Boston Monitor community, where we're going to be continue catching some news and going through with the daily basis onto having some fun, and also waiting for whatever news that might be sliding by. And until then, guys, I'll catch you guys in another one.